Force and pressure are two different terms. Force is push or pull. Push or pull. When you push an object, you apply force externally. When you pull it, again you apply force externally. Okay. In both the cases, object may or may not move. Okay. Suppose you have something. You have an object. So when you apply force on this object, then it starts moving. But sometimes if the object is very big, if the object is very heavy, then even when you apply the force, object does not move because the force you have applied is insufficient to move it. Okay. And pressure is, see, how do we apply pressure on a thing? We apply pressure like this. We press something. When we press something, we press like this. Right? So this is the perpendicular force on a unit area. Okay. So this perpendicular force is called thrust. This perpendicular force is called thrust. And thrust is the perpendicular force. Thrust acting per unit area is called pressure. Okay. So when do we say that the given object is in motion? Can you answer this? If the object is moving, how do you know it is moving?
क्योंकि जब हम उसको पुश करते हैं तो वो अपनी जगह से हिल जाता है.
Yes, its position changes and we get to know that the object is moving. Okay, how do we decide whether an object is moving faster than the other? It depends upon the distance. If the object covers more distance in less time, then it is moving faster. And if the object covers less distance in more time, then it is moving slower. So it depends upon the distance covered by the object in a given time interval. Okay. Third is, what does the distance moved by an object in unit time indicate? Distance moved by an object in unit time is the speed of the object. Yes? What do you do to make a football move? We kick the football to move it.
हम अपने पैर से करते हैं ना, पैर से उसको किक मारते हैं.
And it starts moving. Yes. And what do you do to make a moving ball moving faster, move faster? If the ball is already moving and you want to make the ball move faster, then you kick the ball in the same direction where it is moving. Okay. If the ball is moving in a certain direction, you kick the ball in the same direction, then it will move faster in the same direction. How does a goalkeeper stop a ball? He applies force in the opposite direction to stop it. Yes. How does a hockey player change the direction of a moving ball? By applying force in the different direction. So in all the above situations, a force has been applied on a given ball. On a ball when it is kicked, pushed, thrown or flicked. Okay. So next we have three different terms: force, thrust and pressure, and they are somewhere related. So force is an external effort in the form of push or pull. Force is measured in Newton. It is written as capital N. So when we push an object or pull it, then force is applied on it. But if we apply force perpendicularly on an object, then it is called thrust. So thrust is also force. The only difference is thrust is the perpendicular force which we apply on the object. Force is the effort which can be applied in any direction. It is the external effort which can be applied in any direction. But thrust is the external effort which is always applied perpendicular to the surface. Okay, it is the perpendicular force. And what is pressure? Pressure is thrust per unit area, or we can say perpendicular force per unit area. Suppose we are applying force perpendicularly on an object. Please look at the screen. If we are applying force perpendicularly like this, we are applying force perpendicularly on a unit area, then it is called pressure. So pressure is force upon area, force per unit area. Because it is force per unit area, unit of force is Newton and that of area is meter square. So it is measured in Newton per meter square. Okay. Now you can see there are two different figures. There is less area of contact. So where there is less area of contact, there is more pressure. You're applying the same force. You're applying the same force. But where there is less area of contact, there you'll find more pressure. And if area of contact is greater, then there is less pressure. Okay. It is an external effort in the form of push or pull. So it produces or tries to produce motion in a body at rest. When we apply force on the object, it may or may not move. It depends upon the magnitude of force, the strength of force with which we are applying effort on the object to make it move. If the force is insufficient, then it won't move. Object will move only when the force is sufficient to move it. Second, it stops or tries to stop a moving body. Suppose the object is moving already and we are trying to stop it. So you may or may not stop the object. Suppose it is a heavy object and it is moving very faster, then you cannot stop the object because the force you will apply is not sufficient to stop it. Okay. Changes or tries to change the direction of motion of the body means when we apply force on the object, its direction may or may not change. So at least two objects must interact for a force to come into play. Okay. So next is magnitude of force. Magnitude of force is the strength of force. Strength is the how stronger or weaker the force is. Okay. Is the magnitude. Direction of force. If forces are applied in the same direction, then they add to one another. Suppose in this case, you can see we have 60 Newton and 30 Newton. We are applying these two forces in the same direction. We'll simply add these two forces to get the net force. So it is 90 Newton to the right. But if we apply force in the opposite direction, then we subtract them. Okay. As in this particular case, we are applying 30 Newtons on this side and 10 Newtons on that side. Then net force is 20 Newtons to the right. So here the direction of force is the direction of the greater force. Direction of the net force is the direction of the greater force. So greater force is 30 Newton. So net force will have the same direction as of greater force. Okay. Now please write this in your notebook.